Welcome, everybody, to another Mantra Meditation and Wisdom Talks. Today's topic is the power of prayer. This is our Thursday sessions with Acyuta Gopi, and I'm just going to wait for her to come. And she's coming onto Instagram. I see her already on Facebook. Let's put her on. Here we go. Thank you, Skula Bhakti, Govinda Hari, Himansu, Radheya. Love. Thank you for joining. Sonam, Radhika, you're here too. Govinda, thank you. So thanks everybody for joining. And we want to carry on this aspect of Kartik month, the pastimes, our feelings towards Krishna and the divine. And one thing I was speaking to Acyuta Gopi, which is lovely to see you here right now. And that is about, do you trust him? Do you trust Krishna? What a question. She was saying, Jagannath, this is something I want to bring up. And I think that's such a great topic. We like controversy. We like to add these type of things. So I'm going to bring it out. Do you trust him? So welcome, Acyuta Gopi. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, let's get into it. You all right there, though?
We're good. Everybody's good. Everybody's happy. Everybody is really just basking in that Kartik glow. We're all like igniting our intentions. Thank you for that.
And on this topic now, what made you think about this? Do you trust him? What was the inner side? Since this is a Power Prayer series, this is a very good thing. When we pray, we have to trust.
Yeah, I kept thinking about the two big festivals that are coming up, Diwali and Govardhan Puja. And both of those have a strong theme of, do we trust Krishna? Do we trust the divine when everything kind of looks like we're not sure which way it's going, or everything looks like it's all crumbling down around us? Do we still trust that the divine has our best interests at heart and is actually working in favor of those best interests instead of against us? Can we continue to trust no matter what it looks like externally, knowing that our friend is actually very reliable, knowing that our friend is actually on our side, knowing that the divine is not against us, just thinking, oh, I was just waiting for any moment for you to mess up. And now here it is, bye, done. Instead, really working out all of the situations in our favor, saying, no, I'm making sure that our relationship is the strongest that it can be. So yeah, that's what really made me think about it, is that we have Diwali, celebrating Sri Ram's return back home from 14 years of Vanvas or exile. And then we have Govardhan Puja, which is such a dramatic example of trusting in the plans and the instructions of the divine, even if we can't see everything else going on around it.
The funny thing is only yesterday I was invited to do a talk with KPMG, which is a corporate company, and talked about Diwali. But actually, one thing when I was talking about Diwali, I realized that, especially with Hindu or so we say Sanatan Dharma type of festivals, like take a wedding, for example, when somebody's getting married, with the, in the Hindu tradition, the Vedic tradition, it turns into like a 5-day affair.
Yeah.
On the English tradition, it's like a 1-day affair, and they all found that really funny. But it's so true. And the same with Diwali. It's not like that's it. We've got the Diwali, the day, but it's the preparations before that, certain things, Dhanteras, there's certain aspects that
which is today.
Yeah, that is today. Today is about done, they say, but it's not always just about that. And
which
all these things.
It's interesting. We'll get into that though.
Yes, I think that would be good, because doesn't that show us a bit that sometimes we're doing And that's when you say, do you trust him? It's like we feel like we have to do certain activities to think, okay, if we do this, then this will happen. If we do this, this will happen. But it's all on a material plane a bit, you know? But anyway, there's something that'd be good to just touch on, if it's okay.
Yeah, definitely. And especially with Dhanteras, what people also don't realize is Vedically, this is the day where Lord Dhanvantari appeared.
Yes.
So we have the churning of this great, vast milk ocean. And the devas are on one side, the demons are on the other side. And they are, in essence, they're like mirror versions of one another. And my Guru Maharaj likes to say that they are not so different, because they come from the same lineage, they have the same father, maybe different mothers, but they share parents in some cases. And the difference is like who is against serving the divine and who is all for serving the divine. This is what then makes up the difference in the heart of the devas and the asuras, or the demons, or the differences between divine and demoniac nature and mentality, even within the heart. So we have them having to work together now to obtain wealth, nectar of immortality, riches, opulence, and they're having to have faith, both of them actually, during this big excursion of churning this ocean with a mountain and a snake as a rope and all of these things that sound fantastical to us. But it's like, okay, but how can we look at that? Where are all of the things that we have to do in our lives that require us to have that faith and that fortitude, that integrity of character in all of these fantastical situations, calling on all of this strength? But where does it come from? So ultimately they find they lose the strength to be able to churn on their own. So they call on Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu appears and he says, fine, I'll churn for you. Grabs the snake and begins churning. The mountain starts to sink. They go, oh, we don't know what to do. They call on Lord Vishnu. He says, I'll support from below. And he takes the wonderful, divine, mystical form of a tortoise. Like, where do we ever find, God takes so many different kinds of forms, but in such a way so that, nothing is outside of the realm of the divine in this case. So we've got a tortoise. And so this avatar, this incarnation of Kurma, represents the support that we need in our divine and spiritual lives.
Yes.
So it is often advised we can pray to Kurma for the support of our spiritual foundations. He can give that wonderful support.
Actually, it's good to pray to him, especially when you are feeling such pressures in life, because he held the burden of everything on his back. And this is the power of certain deities and avatars, that sometimes we need to understand their differences and their opulences in a way. And here, they're all part of Krishna. But here is a form of a tortoise. And it shows, to me, it's just fabulous just to hear. And, sometimes I thought to myself, because we had a Bhagavatam course in the UK done by Sutapa Prabhu by the School of Bhakti. And it was so amazing. And I would say, check it out, guys, if you have never checked courses like that on the Bhagavatam life. And we came onto this pastime of the, churning of the milk ocean, and then suddenly all these things come out. And then there was one thing that came up. I was like, whoa, there's a massive snake, this turtle, this pulling. And in my mind, I was like, whoa. And you know what was amazing? Is in my mind, I was like, is this possible? Can this happen? And this story is so like this, even imagination is like, this is what, it's so over the thing that it can only be true. It's like, this is what Sutapa Prabhu was saying, that sometimes we'll rack our brain, but look at it. If I was to make something, I would be talking about a snake. I wouldn't talk about this. I'll just make it. You know, this is something that is, and this is why the divine is so inconceivable, that he can do anything. So I just wanted to put that point there.
I used to think, I also used to think like that when I was younger. Like, can all this be true? And then, like you said, I would realize that I couldn't write this. If I was going to write this, I don't think I'd make it quite like this, and all of the interwoven ties that come together and all make these pastimes. And so it helped me surrender to, you're right, this must be true, because you can't write this. It works out so perfectly. It's just so beyond the realm of anything my mind could have come up with. So yeah, we have this tortoise from below, and then Lord Vishnu comes again to steady it from above. So supported from below, from above, kept going, churned by the Lord. And then, like you said, all these things come out. There's a poison that can destroy the entire universe. So now we have, do you trust him? You know, can we trust beyond the poison that's going to seep out first? Can we trust that his plan is, but wait, I have blessings for you. There's stuff that has to come up and be released but just keep the faith, keep praying. And then they do, and they call upon Lord Shiva, who's able to eradicate that poison, like, no problem. Willing to take on all of that for the highest good of service. Looking at his ability to serve, his yearning to want to serve others is so incredible. That compassion and the humility that comes from that kind of compassion, saying, I'm willing to take on all of this because that will make me dear to the divine Lord.
Wow. See,
like, how amazing.
This is what blows my mind, and what really helps me to, and I think the process, see, the more, sometimes those that may be new, that are coming on, you may be hearing some of this and you'll be like, ugh. But when you start to really go deeper into the process of that meditation, that Krishna conscious practice, what happens is it opens your mind. It really does. Like, we are actually quite closed as individuals. Only through the practice of yoga, bhakti yoga, can we open it. And this is one thing I realized, the more and more I read, or if I read something over and over again, I would feel like having deeper realizations. The same book, like the Bhagavad Gita itself, you read it once and it might have been quite bewildering. But the next time I read it, it made a bit more sense. Then it made even more sense. Then it becomes a bit more nectarian, like, whoa. It's like the same book. What other books do that?
Yeah. Every time you pick up these books, there's like something in there that wasn't there before. And of course, you read it, and it must have been there. But these books, they open like a lotus. They reveal themselves to you. You begin to have an actual relationship with a written scripture. You know, how else do we have that ongoing relationship with a literature? Even if you have a favorite book, and I do have loads of favorite books, and I can read them again and again, but it's never quite the same as having an ongoing, extra relationship with these books where they reveal more and more of themselves, like a living, breathing person.
Look at these realizations coming out, Acyuta. We've got Sonam saying, reading Srimad Bhagavatam is like churning ocean of nectar. Wow. You know, Crystal, you got a question. Yes, we will come on to that about the pastimes. We'll come on to that, Crystal. Mahesh, it's so nice to see you on here. My friend Mahesh Haywood, he's on as well. Been a long time, Mahesh, since we've caught up. Got to do that soon. And I just want to say thank you, everybody. Your realizations as they're coming, we're reading. And I really, 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 and we are appreciating this. This is what it's about, just connecting. And this aspect of trusting. Do you trust him? It's like the Bhagavad Gita, I think, would be an example of, like, the first time we read, like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Second time we read it takes it deeper. It goes deeper and deeper. Then you start to build that trust because you think, my God.
I mean, it didn't make sense for Arjuna either.
Yes, yes. Who was his closest companion, friend
Yeah.
of Krishna? So it will take some time. That's why this process is not cheap. I would say to you, everybody, it's we have to stick at it. There is, if you want something and you want something good, then it's no shortcuts. Sorry to say. I know we talk about spiritual hacks that will help you, but you need to be keeping to it. So we have to have some trust in at the start. And that's
Yeah.
why we do what we're doing right now, to help. Hopefully it gives you a bit of a kickstart or help you on your meditations are helping us. So coming back to this Danteras, you were saying.
So there's poison that comes out. There's all these things that get churned up. There's shadow. There's all kind. There's anger and hurt and all of these things. But then they have to keep going. They have to have faith. They have to keep trusting, and they have to keep churning. And so when they do, they keep churning, and then all of a sudden, all the wonderful things start coming up. All these wonderful things. They get magical, mystical beings. All kinds of creatures arrive. Wealth itself arrives. Lakshmi Devi comes. And then we also get Dhanvantari, holding the pot of nectar, signifying this great healing. So if we look at it as a, metaphor for a transformation, we start off on these spiritual journeys. We've got to churn all this stuff, that all of our previous notions of what we thought about ourselves, our lives as we knew it, they start to change. And then what comes up when we start churning, when we start going down the path of spirituality, is all the stuff we don't like to see. All the stuff we don't like to see comes up first. And so what do?
So
We have to run to our friends. We have to run to those like-minded, spiritually minded people and say, can you help me? There's a lot of stuff coming up. I don't even know how to deal with it. Help. That's what we have with the example of Lord Shiva. Our spiritual guides, our spiritual mentors, our friends will help us because they have such wonderful, compassionate hearts. And the more that we have that faith, then comes the healing. Then comes Lord Dhanvantari with all of his health and medicinal herbs, this nectar of immortality.
Manjari for Life just said, oh my gosh, this milk ocean is such a metaphor for my life. You know what?
Same.
We all agree there's that saying that boiling the milk, that at the start, like you just heard, all those type of things. As soon as we start with spiritual life and you put the fire, the heat on, what comes at the top, all the impurities will boil to the top. We'll start to notice these things. That actually means the process is working. We're lifting out of the ignorance aspect and moving towards the more of the goodness, because we're starting to notice these things. And then after that, all the nectar will start to come. And so thank you, Manjari for Life. And that's a nice, that's something that I know when I started my spiritual practice, and I had this thing like, can I trust this? Can this work? Can I trust him? I'm having these thoughts. Hang on. If I am doing spiritual practice, why the hell does it feel like I'm getting all these type of thoughts? What's going on? I had less
Why is this so uncomfortable?
Yeah, like I had less before, and now I'm getting more.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah. And it's often said that Sri Krishna, even Krishna himself and the devotees, they go through such incredibly uncomfortable situations. They go through obstacles just to let us know that this is the norm. This is normal. It's going to happen to everyone. It's not going to be comfortable. Neither the demigods nor the demons were comfortable during that process. They were feeling burned. They were feeling choked. They were feeling upset, inside everything is pulling in every which direction, They're fighting with their own minds. They're fighting with their anger. They're fighting with their patience. And all of this is just to show us that it's normal. It's okay. It's part of the process.
It is. And Sammy, yes, it's not just you. I'm sure it is all of us, and everybody else underneath is connecting. And one thing, This is what it's about. It's a process. And that's why we're talking about this right now. So this trust, it will come. It does come. And then the more you'll see those things happening in your lives, you'll think to yourself, hey, that's not because of any coincidence. That's because of the divine.
Yeah.
I've experienced that, and I know Acyuta Gopi's experienced this, and that's the reason we talk to you right now on this. But yes, so nice.
And, segueing in, of course, to Sri Ram with Diwali, his life was not comfortable.
No.
His life was not comfortable. He spends 14 years in the forest, sleeping on the ground, under canopies of trees. And of course, he's God, so he can make it really romantic, but it's not actually very comfortable. And then his wife gets abducted, and he has to go and try and search for her, search through over hill and dale and through forests and try and find her, journeying on foot throughout India, which is not small. So he's journeying on foot. Finally, he comes in contact with Sugriva, the king of the Vanaras, those celestial monkey beings. And finally, he has some hope that he'll find his wife. And Sugriva says, I'll help you, but I lost my kingdom. And so they say that a person who is able to help you in friendship is one who can understand your plight, a person who's really been there. Those are the people who can really help you. Those are the people who can understand where you've been. So Sugriva is saying, I've lost my kingdom, I've lost my wife. I feel you. I understand where you're coming from. And he lost it to his own brother. So they go. Sri Ram says, I'll help you. I'll help you get your kingdom back. No problem. Go challenge your brother Bali to a fight. So Sugriva goes and he challenges Bali, and he says, but Bali is usually stronger than me. I don't know what I'm going to do. He says, don't worry, I'm here. And Sugriva goes and he challenges Bali. And he goes and he makes sure that he calls out to him. Bali comes storming out. They have a large fight, a huge fight. And Sugriva is soundly pummeled. He loses. He has to go like crawling back to Ram on a stretcher. He's looking, my lord, with all due respect, what happened? So Sugriva, he doesn't look great. He's bloodied and battered and bruised, and it's uncomfortable. And he was face to face with the divine, asking, what happened? Sri Ram says, somehow all the monkeys, they look alike. I couldn't tell you apart. You both were fighting. I couldn't tell you apart. Here's what I'll do. I'll have Lakshman make a garland for you. Wear this garland. Now go back and challenge him again. Now Sugriva's barely had time for his bruises to heal up. Again? Challenge him? Yeah, go back. Challenge him again. Okay, are you sure? I'm so sure. Go back, challenge him again. Okay. So Sugriva challenges him again. And he's fighting and he's fighting, and all of a sudden, then Sri Ram shoots those arrows, which are able to go through 7 sal trees, which are big trees. It's no small feat. 1 arrow, and he's able to defeat Bali. Our teachers, our acharyas, our Vaishnavacharyas say, could Ram not really recognize between the two of them? He's the divine. He knows everything. So yeah, of course he knows everything. So then what's the point of asking him to go back again? Why didn't he kill him the first time? He wanted to know, do you trust me? Will you trust me? Will you stay with me? Will you still listen to me even if it looks like I'm leading you toward failure? Are you going to be there, knowing that no matter what, I have your best interests at heart? Sugriva passed the test. But can we look at those uncomfortable situations in life? We feel battered and pummeled and bruised, and then somehow the divine gives us the calling. Go serve again. Go back. Get back in there. Serve again. And we're like, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I just got battered. What's happening? He says, no. Go back. Go serve again. Pick yourself back up. Go preach again. Go say the message again. I'm like, okay, do we trust him? Do we believe that he has our best interests at heart? Because then that's where the miracles happen. Where we decide to trust through all of that, through what our mind is telling us, through what our sensors are saying. I see the way this road is going and it is not going well. But if we trust through that, then the miracles happen every single time.
That's what we need to try and do. And see that pastime is something that really shows. See, the divine, you'll think you are the divine. You know each person. You didn't know that was me and that was him, even if we do look identical? Of course he did. Of course he did. This is the leelas. These are the pastimes the divine does to come out with these principles of what we need to do. The second time, he was testing, like you said, testing that person's faith and determination. And that's what we need to do. So do you trust him? Well, listen to that story there and you'll see. So I've got Sonam who said a question. I think it's good to bring up now. She says, so in friendship, shall we help the other person first and then address our challenges like Lord Ram did?
It depends on if you are the divine.
Mm.
And if we're not, that also has to be taken into account. So a person who doesn't know how to swim can't save someone who's drowning.
Mm.
We have to look at how full our cup is spiritually. We have to make sure that we are able to fill up that cup spiritually and maintain our strong foundations, either through prayer or through talking with our mentors, before we're able to give and give and give and help someone else, so that we don't get burnt out. Because we aren't Sri Ram. You know, Sri Ram was able to put his desires aside. And even after he helps Sugriva get his kingdom back, then it's the rainy season and they can't do anything. So he has to wait for 4 months. But what is said, he goes to a cave, Malyavanta, and he just sits and he chants the name of Sita with such heart-wrenching longing. So he's just sitting longing for his dearest love. So if we even look at Sri Ram, he also then goes and he just meditates on what his goal is. So we have to look and we have to make sure that our cup is full before we just pour it out and give it to somebody else. Let's make sure that our foundations are good. Let's call on our friends and our mentors. Let's call on those people who we are able to lean on. Let's call on the divine himself so that we can lean on him before we're able to help. Otherwise, sometimes it just makes us more entangled. Sometimes it just makes us more depressed. Sometimes we burn out, and that's no good either.
This is the one thing is that sometimes we put so much reliance on others as well. So even for our happiness, we'll put it onto others. And here onto the divine. I didn't get this. I didn't get that's all your fault. You're definitely not there. You know, I wanted my iPhone 12 Pro to come tomorrow and it didn't come. You definitely don't care about me. I'm giving a very mundane example, but people will see that it's something I think that we all go through. Sometimes we'll think, you know, let's help others. Yes, we need to help others. But first, it's like in the plane. I always remember this. Always, when you're in a plane, if you're sitting next to your child, and when the air hostess says, first put your oxygen mask on yourself, then put it on the child. Think about this. If you are in that altitude and you can't think properly, and you try and put that mask on somebody else, you probably won't even put it on properly. So that person will starve of oxygen and you'll starve, then it'll be a game over. So similarly here, we need to, that always stays with me. And actually, am I filling my own cup? Not to be on a selfish point, but in a way that if I can fill, that means then I can give. Otherwise, it'll just drain. It'll drain you. It'll drain you all the time. So, and then you won't think, isn't it like then when you think when you're fine, You're in that helicopter view. So it's like, the iPhone 12 Pro didn't come. Well, it doesn't matter. That's fine. I still have my other one. You don't think in the same type of mentality. You won't be so
Yeah.
insecure about your things in life. That gives you those little bits of happiness. You'll be more content.
And not only that, when you're able to fill up your own cup, you are actually better able to serve. Because then when someone asks a question, where are we speaking from? We're speaking from this place of feeling more whole, feeling that trust, feeling that complete relationship with the divine. So if we want to encourage someone else to have that relationship, if we are not actively doing that, it sounds empty. We can't give what we don't have. So if we are not actively making sure that that relationship is solid as best as we can, because it may never be perfect, it's always going to be a practice. It's called a spiritual practice for a reason. But if we make sure that that situation, that relationship is solid, then we're able to see the problems of others from a different vantage point. Like you said, we have that helicopter view. We no longer are wondering, oh, why didn't God save me anytime? Now we're understanding, whoa, I woke up. My family members woke up. We are breathing. We are, the air is going into our lungs. I don't know how it's happening, but I'm having faith. I'm trusting in that which I cannot see, and that is belief. So we're able then to give that to someone else. We're able to see from that vantage point and then say, but look at this miracle. Look at this miracle. We're all here right now. And that might be a miracle for all of us to come together at this point and this time to hear whatever message it is. That's a miracle.
There we go. And so many people are commenting. Thank you, Sai Amrita. Thank you, Radhika Soku, Koji, Madhvi, and people agreeing as well. Sham, I think Sham Lika. Oh God, I've got to get these names right. I'm so sorry. This aspect, yes, there has to start. We got to start to make sure we are strong. That's how we are gonna give it to others. And as I'm talking, I'm also talking to myself. This is something always important.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, JKD's got it, under wraps. It's not the case. I am also working on this. This is something that's a continual process that we just have to keep on the game. We have to keep pushing ourselves. So please, I would say to you all, remember that. Work on yourselves. Make sure you're strong. Then you can help so many more people. If you're not strong, you won't even help yourself. So let's have that. And then the trust in the divine will be stronger because you have that connection directly. You're not waiting for it to be through others. You're doing it with yourself. And then just watch. So, it's nice that you had that thought process of, do you trust him? Really, such a nice pastime. And a lot of people are connecting with this. And then we said, Koji, yes, faith is working in process. Yes. So good to remember, Crystal. We all have to remember that. It's not that suddenly we do this, it'll be like this. It'll be like that.
And those hills and those valleys are natural. They're totally natural. It's not that, Sugriva and Ram, they found each other and then everything was perfect. Sugriva still needed constant reminders like, hey, what are you doing? After the rainy season passes, Sugriva's so caught up in getting what he's always wanted that now he's forgotten that he's supposed to be helping Ram, and Lakshman has to go and put the fear of God in him and say, listen, what are you doing? My Ram's been waiting in a cave, chanting, feeling all of this emotion and longing for 4 long months of the rainy season. You've been here having parties and all kinds of things. What are you doing? Now we're waiting on you. How's this possible? And so Lakshman goes, he threatens to kill him. Finally, Sugriva's like, I'm sorry, I forgot. I remember now. I've got it. I'm here. So it's natural. It's going to be natural that sometimes we forget. We get what we think we wanted. And then all of a sudden we forget about our spirituality. And then Adi Guru, our teachers, they come in and give us those awakenings. They say, wake up. What are you doing? Don't get caught up in all this. Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot. I'm here. Here again. Life will shake us up. So when these things come that shake us up, don't think that it is abnormal. Don't think, why is this only happening to me? This has been happening since time immemorial. Since the beginning of time, it's been happening. And it'll continue happening. But there are lessons. And my Guru Maharaj is saying, if we can always look at these lessons with some sort of gratitude, then our hearts become fertile grounds for blessings.
Wow, that's what we need to do. So let's work on that aspect. Thank you. I've seen some questions coming through. Juhi Chavan, I thought she's asked a question, but what we'll do, there's some of them are more technical ones that we're happy to answer, and we can take it offline. So remember, you can connect with Acyuta Gopi via Instagram or Facebook, whichever you prefer. And it's Acyuta. So it's, if you just type Acyuta Gopi, even in Instagram, it'll come up with Govinda's girl _ lowercase Gopi. And also more than welcome to connect with myself. My handle is Jagannath _ Dasa. Instagram is where I try to connect, and then I can speak a bit more. So if you want that personal touch and you want to have that time, unfortunately, I can't be on every single platform at the same time. So connect via Instagram. You know my handle, and any type of questions like this. And I'm seeing that coming up. Why do you have this? Why do you wear Gantimala? Why is it free? All these technicalities we will go through, not a problem. So just so we keep it on topic, on point for today as well, and going forward. God, that's just like, time is just going. Oh, you know, our Takara, thank you. Love these sessions. Thank you both. No, thank you for joining. And like I said, another thing that'd be nice for everybody to read, if you haven't got your copy already, please do get it. It is Acyuta Gopi's Prema Mala book. You know, and plus now you don't even have to wait. You can get the electronic copy and start reading it straight after now. So just go to www.mybook.to/Prema, PREMA, and get your copy from there. And if you have any questions about it as well, you know, just connect with Acyuta Gopi. You know it by now. And she'll help you answer where you can get it. Can I have a signed copy? I'm sure we can sort something out and get it to you. What a great present that'd be for Diwali. I was just thinking as well. It's like, hey, give the wealth of money and stuff. Give the wealth of knowledge.
Hey,
get the Prema. So check that out, everybody. So we've been talking today about, do you trust him? We talked about some of the pastimes. Bali Maharaj. We talked about we talked about a bit about Diwali, and now we've got Diwali coming. Acyuta Gopi, one thing is what our mindset should be when it comes to thinking about Diwali, because the first thing that comes into mind right now, we're living in a different era. It feels like worlds apart from last year and the way we might have celebrated. So what essence do you think we should all try to take away in this Diwali to try and make it feel like it's some norm without being normal, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think now we all have a little bit of an insight into how the Ayodhyavasis felt, the citizens of Ram's hometown. They were being separated from him for 14 years. Right? We've got like 8-9 months under our belt right now being separated from each other, and we're already going crazy. Imagine 14 years. But they kept the faith. They had faith that, okay, our Ram will come back. He said he would come back. He said he would rule us. He said things would be better. And then they were, of course, but he comes back. So we can use this as a beacon of hope. Diwali is all about lighting up that new moon sky, right? That dark moon sky where there's no moon out, you can't see anything, the sky is completely dark, but we're going to light it up with all of these lamps to give Sri Ram a place to return, so that you welcome him back into your life, into your heart, into your home. This is a beacon of hope that, okay, there were some really dark times, but the best is yet to come. It will turn. It absolutely will turn. We just have to have that trust, have that faith, and know that it is coming. Our blessing is coming. And that's, I feel, is the best celebration of the Ayodhya citizens, is that our blessing is coming. That's the real thing. Even if we think about Dhanteras, because immediately everybody thinks, Lakshmi, wealth, let's go. But without our spiritual maturity, we hear that Lakshmi doesn't stay in one place very long. She's fickle. She goes here, she goes there, she leaves. But if we gain that spiritual maturity and that spiritual opulence first, she wants to stay wherever her Lord is.
That's it. Lakshmi Narayan.
Yeah. So if we seek out that spiritual knowledge first, then it entices her, and then she stays for good. She doesn't want to go anywhere else. So this is the mindset and the mood of these festivals. Like, oh my Lord, oh the divine, let me have a relationship with you. Let me chase that the way I've chased wealth. Let me chase that the way I've chased my degree, my job, whatever it is. Let me put in that time to chase you the way I've chased those things, because that will bring the culmination of everything else.
There we go. Wow. You know what's really amazing? We've had people from different parts joining us. I've got Hilton Morris. Thank you, Hilton. Hare Krishna. I'm from Perspective Devotee from Corporate Republic of Guyana, sorry. Listening to the program and enjoying it. Thank you so much for joining. Rajesh also has asked a question, and Rajesh asks, Prabhuji Mataji, what makes you inspired to join the path of bhakti? And what made you accept Krishna consciousness? I think that's a nice question. We never answered that question before. What do you think, Acyuta Gopi? What's it for
me?
you?
It kind of came naturally. I was born into it, born and raised. It's all I've ever known. Before anything else, my parents drilled into me, you are Krishna's devotee. Wow. First and foremost, over and above any other heritage, any outside designations, you're Krishna's devotee. And you should know that. Live in that space. I am Krishna's devotee. I am Krishna's devotee. I am Krishna. And what does that mean? That goes hand in hand with, because you're Krishna's devotee, you are Krishna's friend. Krishna is your best friend. He will be there for you. So for me, I kind of came by it naturally.
You know what? For me, it was complete opposite. I wasn't born into the movement, and I joined it at a later time in life. And for me, I actually started thinking first in the early times. I've always had spiritual people around me. My family are quite spiritual, but following different paths. And I always used to question everything I would do. So why do we do arti? Why is it good things happen to bad people? Why does this happen? And the only reason I wanted to know these questions, I would ask different faiths, but something would not always hit with me fully. The only time it hit fully is when I heard from a Krishna conscious person, and they would give me in such a logical, scientific way. And that spiritual science stayed with me. So for me, philosophy is very important. It's good to hear when we hear pastimes, what is the principles behind it? What do I take from it? How can I evolve myself? And I found that in Krishna consciousness. And that's how my path starts. So you're talking to a person that used to be an atheist.
What's crazy is, it looks like you have a foreigner and then you have an Indian person, but it's like completely
isn't it? That's so true. So yeah, from atheism, from a young age, even though I had spiritual people around me, it was Krishna consciousness that actually helped me to understand. Because the thing is, I'm a big skeptic. If somebody tells me to believe something, I won't.
Just on principle.
just on principle. But when I started practicing, I realized, my God, this is something amazing.
Yeah.
And you have to try it to believe it, and you have to stick with it. This why this "do you trust him" really means a lot to me, because that was my story. So I that's why we do what we do, by the way, everybody. Otherwise, you wouldn't see me on here if I did not believe in this process. And at the same time, yeah.
I was just saying, like, what amazing courage to say, as a person coming from being an atheist and now on this journey. That's such amazing courage. And I applaud you so much, because the way that your mind and your heart take to this process is so wonderfully softened.
No.
It's such a beautiful way that you've like wholeheartedly embraced it and really given everything to it. So I commend you.
No, thank you. And this is just Krishna's will. And this is also should be that, yes, this path is good for me. This path is good for Acyuta Gopi. We're not saying that this is the only path you should follow. If you have other faiths, then follow it, but follow it properly. Do it to the best of your abilities. Don't take shortcuts. And then some nectar will come. I'm talking to myself too. It's always, I'm talking to the screen, but I'm looking back at myself.
Yeah.
So it's important that you always remember that. So that's a little bit. So thank you for that question, Rajesh. It's really good to be open with everybody now, since we've been talking for months and months, and now it's like maybe we'll have more Q&As as we go forward, and you can ask whatever you want, and we'll be your humble servants. But I think we are coming towards, because we want to have that kirtan, we want to have that meditation that only can happen when we listen to Acyuta Gopi. So many know this. And what's really nice is that because it's Damodar month, it's so nice that we get this chance. Here in the UK, it's the evening, it's the time.
Mhm.
So when you're singing, it just the meditation is like, oh yes, it's like time. So thank you so much for making our evenings here fantastic. So
My pleasure.
could I request, if you may, if we could have whatever you feel?
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of Kitchery. We'll do Damodar Astakam, but it's also going to be a little Sri Ram, because we were meditating on this Diwali. Shri Radha Damodar ki jai, Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Namami Shwarang Sachit Ananda Rupa Lasat Kundalam Gokule Rajamana Yashoda Bioluka Ladavamana Param Rishtamatyanta Nritya Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Rijantam Karam Boja Yugmena Satankanetram Muhu Swasakam Patrire Kanka Kanta Stita Grevam Damodaram Bhaktipada Iti Driksvalila Bhir Ananda Kunde Sagosham Nimajantam Akyapayantam Tadiyeshitagyeshu Bhaktarjitatam Puna prematastam sata vrittivande Varam deva mokshamna mokshavadimva Nachanyam vrineham vare sadapiha Idam teva purnata kopala bala Sada me manasya virastam kimanye. Idam te mukham vojam atyantanilair vritam kuntale snigdha raktascha gopya muhuschumbitam bimba raktadaram me manasya virastam alam lakshalabhe. Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhuka Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Brishchati Tinambatanu Grihane Shamamagyam Edyakshidrisham Kuberatmajo Bhadha Mrityaiva Yadvar Tayamochito Bhakti Bhajakrito Cha Tata Prema Bhaktim Sakhame Prayacha Namokshe Graho Misti Damodareha O namaste damne spuradipti damne Tvadiya darayata vishwasya damne Namo radhikaya tvadiya priyaya Namo nantalilaya devaya tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Radhe Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sita Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai 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 Ram.
Oh, thank you so much. It was like double impact. Damoda Ashtakam, chanting the names of the divine Lord Ram on this Diwali soon to come. So please, everybody, let's keep. There's one thing I want to just say is, and this is to everyone right now who may be suffering, this COVID's going on, that if you can light a lamp, a diya, on some parts of your household in the night of the Friday night at least, and pray for everybody that they may be protected from this, from Yamraj right now, from this aspect of death. And just pray for everyone's well-being. I think this is important we do that. If we all do it as a divine consciousness all together, collectively, it will have some impact. And also Chandrika Kanaba, we've been praying for you. So she says, please pray for my dear mum who is in hospital, very sick, not even eaten for 2 weeks, on drugs for pain, just sleeping. So let's.
Did you know that whether knowingly or unknowingly, the Lord accepts service? So there are so many prayers that say, oh my Lord, whatever service I've done, either knowingly or unknowingly, you please accept it. And then he does, and he makes the benefit extreme. So yesterday was just Ekadashi. And Chandrika, your mom has not eaten for 2 weeks. Knowingly or unknowingly, she has fasted. She has been fasting, observing a fast during this month of Kartik.
Yes.
On this time when Ekadashi has come. So if you pray, oh my Lord, just accept her service, whether she's done it knowingly or unknowingly. That's all that is needed for the divine to swoop in and say, you're right, I got it. I'll accept it, no problem.
Wow. So Chandrika, I hope that helps. My God, yes, because we talk about fasting for the whole month of Kartik. And some people find it difficult. They'll do it for the last 5 days. But here,
she's been
your
fasting
mom,
for 2 weeks.
There we go. Knowingly or unknowingly. Amazing. Thank you so much, Acyuta Gopi, for sharing that. And Chandrika, please keep that in your mind and ask the Lord to accept that as a service. Thank you. And everybody else, everyone that joined, please have a fantastic Diwali. I know it will be different. I know everybody will be zoomed out, but just remember the essence of it. And another thing, maybe utilize this time to increase your spiritual life, your spiritual practice, whatever that practice is. Do a little bit more. So on that basis, thank you, and join you next week, everybody. And looking forward to this. And on that basis, I'll say Hare Krishna and Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Take care.